Welcome to Echo Conversations. I'm here today with David Wood with Acts 17 Apologetics. David, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Super pumped to have you here. So on this episode, I want to talk about tactics. Mm-hmm. So you've had some pretty awesome success out of your YouTube channel, and I just wanted to kind of break down what are some of the things that you really feel like you could tell other ministries as they're working through their YouTube, and specifically YouTube. We're going to talk specifically YouTube. So help us understand, we've talked in a previous video about how you got started and all of that, but let's kind of work into what are some of the tactics that if ministries would just do these things, you would see, increased growth in your viewership.
Yeah, I would say, of course, as we mentioned before, you have to have awesome content. But other than that, it is going to come down to tactics, because if you put something on YouTube and no one has any idea that it's there, you could have the best video that anyone could ever see in their entire lives. And if it's just on YouTube and you don't have a way of getting it to people, then people are never going to see it. And there are two things that are kind of relevant here. One, how you're getting the information to other people as far as if you're doing it yourself, right? Like if you're sharing it on Facebook or you're sharing it on Twitter, how are you passing it on to other people?
Right.
Because as of then, you can only, until other people start getting a hold of it, you have to do it yourself. So you have to think about how you're going to get started getting information to other people. But the other thing is there's the YouTube algorithm. People call it AL for short.
Okay.
Right? So they call the YouTube algorithm AL. And the YouTube algorithm, YouTube doesn't share what its algorithm is, but people figure out things about the algorithm as time goes on. And so what happens is you make a video. The algorithm doesn't know what's in your video.
Right.
Unless you tell it what's in your video. And there are different ways to tell it what the content of that video is. And so that's what I mean when I say you can have the best video in the world. If you don't have a plan for getting it to people yourself through social media or something like that, if you don't have a plan for getting it to people yourself, then you'd better hope the algorithm picks it up and starts sending it to other people. And in the long term, that's what you want to happen, because the algorithm can send your video to far more people than you could ever send it to on Facebook or Twitter.
Right.
So you want, when you're watching a video and all these suggested videos pop up, that's because the algorithm is constantly scanning everything, and it says, if this person likes this video, here's the other sort of thing that might interest this person. YouTube's entire goal, and people need to get their minds around this.
Okay.
YouTube's goal, the overarching goal of YouTube, not of content creators, but of the site, is to keep people on YouTube. That's how YouTube makes its money, right? They don't want you watching a video and leaving. They want you watching a video and then clicking on another video and then clicking on another video. That's how they make money, keeping you on their site.
Yes.
So there is an algorithm in place that's meant to keep you on YouTube.
Right.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And we've all done that.
Yeah.
We've all started watching something and then it's like, what's been happening?
Yeah.
I've been watching these videos
because there's an entire
forever.
system in place, and there are programmers whose entire jobs are to figure out how to keep you on YouTube and to never let you leave. Right. Well, that's great if you can use that to get information to people and use it for a good purpose. They're already on the internet. You might as well get some good information to them along the way. But so if you understand how the algorithm works, I've seen lots of Christian YouTube channels who, some of them doing fairly well, but could be doing much, much better.
Sure.
And some of them just never get off the ground. And it's just because they don't understand the basics, right? They think, man, we're making this awesome video. I spent all this time, I spent weeks making this perfect video and getting together everything and adding all these effects and having it professionally edited, and then it got 200 views.
Right.
And they can't figure out why. Right. They can't figure out why it didn't take off. And the answer is, if that algorithm does not know that here are the kinds of people who will like this, and I'm going to make sure that it pops up in their suggested videos or something like that. If the algorithm doesn't have enough content to know that it needs to put your video in certain places, your video just stays where it is, which is on your channel, which people don't know about because they don't know about your channel.
So how do we tell the algorithm that we exist?
Well, you have a couple of basic ways. One is your title, right? And lots of people get this down. They get down, hey, I need to insert a title, what this video is about. So that's one. But you should be thinking about what the actual topics covered in your video are and what people are going to be looking for.
Right.
What people are going to be looking for, because you want to make sure that those words are used in the title. That's sort of the most important source of the basic gist of what your video is about. But you also have the description, and I've seen lots of people who do not use that description much, right? They're thinking, well, I don't read video descriptions very much, so why am I going to spend time putting that information there? The algorithm is reading your description.
Right.
It's picking out keywords, relevant keywords in your description. If you didn't put a description of the actual content of your video in there, it doesn't know what the content is beyond the title that you put. If you fill in a good, and this doesn't have to be a book, but I would say one to two paragraphs about the content there, even if you're not thinking people are going to read it, the algorithm is reading that and figuring out what it's about.
Right.
And then you of course have the keywords,
right.
which are the some of the main relevant words that are relevant to the topic that you're dealing with. You insert all of those. So just by doing that well, you massively increase your odds that people are going to catch on to your video. And why this is helpful is, as I mentioned, there are lots of Christian channels that don't do well because they don't do that basic stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They insert a title and okay, that's all I need to do, and no, that's not all you need to do. But lots of channels aren't doing that. But if lots of channels aren't doing that, then you give yourself an advantage just by doing that. You give yourself an advantage by including that content.
Totally.
You can also, if you've got a script for what you've put together, YouTube allows you to put in your own subtitles. It's not a lot of work. You insert the entire text, and YouTube just automated lines it up. It's not perfect. Sometimes things will be a little off.
Sure.
But it takes your entire script and then puts it where it goes as subtitles throughout the video. That's beneficial for multiple reasons. One of them, now this is something I myself haven't done much, but I've started doing it for videos, including the text when I have time. The reason it's relevant, two reasons. One, the algorithm also pays attention to that. So it's looking at your title, at your description, at your keywords, and if you upload your own transcript so as subtitles, it's also looking to that, and it's saying how many times did it use this word, how many times did it use this word. This is the content of the video, and it's going to take all that information and put it with people who are interested in that kind of thing. In other words, there are people on the other side of the world watching completely different videos from a completely different channel, and it's picking up patterns of what you like so that it can give you the ideal content. So if you give it a ton of information and there are people out there who want that information, it's going to try and match up your content with those people. So that's one reason for adding your own subtitles and stuff.
Right.
The other reason is more and more people nowadays are watching on their cell phones rather than on laptops or computers. And that has shifted. If you just go 4 or 5 years ago, the vast majority of people are watching on their laptops, and cell phones just passed laptops now. More people watch on their phones. Well, guess what? Some people are watching on the train and they just can't hear. Right. They just can't hear. So they want, or they're, it's a guy and he's watching he can't sleep and he's watching on a phone, and his wife's asleep beside him in bed, and so he can't have the volume on. So he would rather read the subtitles. So just including something like that, you're helping more people who can who will be able to watch your material in different situations, but also you're giving the algorithm more information about what your video is about. So.
Right, and that's why they've put so much effort into speech-to-text technology just inside YouTube, because it's the number 2 search engine in the world.
Yeah, even if you don't give your own transcript, YouTube actually does a pretty decent job yourself. You can just click on automated, and it will do it, and you can actually go through and correct it that way.
And IBM has something called Watson, and it can be used to do some automated generation. And Rev.com, you can send it off, and they'll do a transcription for you as well. Okay, so we've got wanted to go back to one thing you said: the title, the description, and then the keywords. And you kind of hit that quickly, but I feel like keywords are sometimes mysterious. It's hard to know. I mean, there's probably, so talk a little bit about your keyword strategy. Are there certain words you kind of throw in there every time? Is each one different, specific to it?
They're actually I haven't used them, but I hear that they're very helpful. They're actually programs that give you, you can use it to get the best keywords. And what it's doing is there are and this is also relevant for video content, but you have a kind of supply and demand situation where there are topics that are high in demand and sometimes they're also high in supply. In other words, if you say, oh, what a great topic, this would be an interesting topic, let me make a video out of it. Well, if 100,000 other people also thought the same idea and made a video out of it.
It's hard to be found.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult. But it's similar with keywords. Sometimes there are, you could put a keyword in there. Well, if there are 10 million other videos that have the same keyword, you're not really giving yourself an advantage. But there are other things that people are looking up that haven't been, that aren't as prominent around. And so there are actually programs that actually search, and you say, okay, would it be helpful to use this keyword? And they say, yeah, it's actually because there's a high demand for it and a low supply for this keyword. And so you can give yourself a huge advantage that way. So yeah, as far as my keywords, I try to, you try to think about what people are looking for. The keywords serve two basic purposes. One, for the algorithm, it's trying to match those things up with other content. But that's also for people who are using it as a search engine. So they're typing in questions, they're looking up topics on YouTube, and so if they type in, where did Jesus say I am God?
Right.
Well, if you have a video that's titled that, and you say in your description box, this video is meant to answer a common question: where did Jesus say I am God? And then in your keywords, it's Jesus, God, where did Jesus say I'm? All things you could put different combinations in there.
Variations.
Yeah, and another thing people can do is you can sort of try to be a match for to come up as a suggested video for other videos. And what I mean here is you can go, if you go onto Google Chrome and you click on the page information, so you right click on someone's video page, and you can look up their keywords. What keywords does this video? This video got 3 million views.
This video is a lot like mine. Yeah. What keywords did they use?
Yeah. What keywords did they use? And one, that's just because they might be successful using those kinds of keywords.
Right.
But two, if you have similar content and similar keywords and so on, your video has a better chance of coming up as a suggested video on the side there. So you can sort of feed off their views, because the people watching that are people who would like your stuff too.
Totally. Let's talk about thumbnails. You don't just use the default thumbnail that YouTube makes, do you? Or do you?
No, I used to.
Yeah.
I used to.
But as time's moved on,
that's disastrous.
You've changed that.
Yeah. It's again, people spend all this time making this video, and then comparatively very little time entering all this information that is how people will find it, right? So again, it doesn't matter how great your video is if people don't get it. So that's the other main component you have. You have your title, your four main components to how whether people are going to click on your video or not would be your title, your description, your keywords. The other is your thumbnail. But that's the one that's not actually examined much by the algorithm. That's a person sees it, right? And here, and this goes with the along with the title and description and so on. We can draw a distinction between what's called search-friendly content and what's called browser-friendly content, because there are two main ways that people are going to find your video, unless you're giving it to them, unless you're handing it to them, sending it to them on Twitter. There are two basic ways that people are going to find your information on YouTube. One is that they're searching for it. So people hear someone say, hey, where did Jesus say I am God? So they go to YouTube, where did Jesus say I am God? Or to Google and say, now YouTube videos pop up on Google searches as well. So they go to Google, where did Jesus say I am God? And there, when someone asks that kind of question, they're already looking for you, right? They're looking for the answer. So your title and thumbnail and description should be set up to say, hey, I've got what you're looking for. You're looking for it, and I'm the one that got it. Because other people may have it as well. So you're trying to catch their eye. Because when you click that, the top one has an advantage because it's the first one they see. But there are also a bunch of others. Assuming it's a topic that lots of other people have covered, why should they watch yours and not one of these 15 other ones? And that's going to come down to your title, your thumbnail, things like that. And so everything, your title, your thumbnail, and when you search for something, you don't see the entire description. You see basically the first 2 lines.
Right.
But even that, you need to be thinking, what is it in my first 2 lines that's going to attract people? And so you should be thinking, how is what they see here? How is seeing my title, seeing my thumbnail, and seeing those first 2 lines going to convince this person that I'm the video they should click on rather than these others, given this topic? So all that message should combine to, I've got what you're already looking for. So that's called search-friendly content. It's friendly for people who are doing searches.
Right.
That only works if you have an idea of what people are searching for.
Right.
So if you know common questions that people are asking,
Yep.
then you can gear your content towards that. Then you have browser-friendly content. Browser-friendly content that's where they're already watching a video and yours is coming up as a suggested video, or yours is just coming up in their feed somehow. They're not looking for what you said, right? They're not looking for that. They're watching something else, or they're looking for something else. So you have to kind of stand out over here and say, hey, what is that? I have to know that. I need, that is something I need to click on. So there you're actually trying to get people's attention, not, hey, I'm one of the videos that's answering your question, like all these other ones, but mine's going to be best. There it's, you weren't looking for this at all, but you need to watch this.
This is interesting.
Yeah, and so there are lots of simple ways to go about that. For some reason, like numbers in the title of 3 reasons this, top 10 reasons this, people are much more inclined to click on that. They've done studies on that. In fact, that was one of the first times one of the simplest videos I ever made was called 3 Quran verses every Christian should know. Right? Hey, if you don't have time to learn a lot about Islam, at least learn 3 verses that will give you the gist and help you in a conversation if you're ever in a conversation with Muslims. So I was on a subway and I was thinking, man, I need to make a video today. I haven't made a video in a couple days. Let me make a video. And I thought, you know what people click on? They click on the 3 things you need to know about this, 5 things you have to know,
right.
10 reasons that blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And so I just jotted down what verses would I say that people should know? Sure. So I jotted down 3 verses. I got back. I recorded the video. Everything took, from me thinking of the idea to making it to posting it it was a couple of hours. And that video has between 1.5 and 2 million views.
Crazy. And
I have made videos that were massively better than that took way more time, that have far more awesome content, but that one just took off. And the reason is, it's coming up in different people's suggested videos because it's got Christians in it, it's got Quran verses, stuff like that.
Right.
It didn't have, back then I didn't even know fancy thumbnail, none of that. Mm-hmm. I just put that in there. And for some reason, when Christians are sitting there, 3 Quran verses every Christian should know. Well, I need to see what those three are. And even Muslims, well, what are these 3 Quran verses that he's trying to share with Christians? Right. So for some reason, the 3 of this or 5 of that.
The curiosity.
It creates a sense of curiosity. What is that? And people can't. Right. People can't. They can't go away without knowing what those are. And so think about this. If you, and this could be anything. So suppose a new iPhone comes out or something like this. If you say, new iPhone comes out and its most important features are, if you just told people what's in your video, who's gonna I already have an idea of what's in your video, especially if you put it in the description box. Right. If your video is titled 3 most shocking features about the new iPhone, oh my goodness, I don't even care, right? But now I have to click on that. I have to know what these shocking features are.
You won't believe
and so
it.
So you kind of have to decide, is this something that someone's going to be searching for? In which case, like if it's like how to tie a tie, right? And lots of people are going to be searching for how to tie a tie. Mm-hmm. They're about to get back and they're about to go off to their meeting, and some people don't know. Oh, darn! I'm about to go to a job interview and I don't know how to tie a tie, so they're going to search for it. And so you want to say, hey, I've got the best video on that topic. So that's the search-friendly content. But then you have the browser-friendly content, which is more along the lines of, hey, I'm not answering something you're looking for, but I'm something you need to see anyway. So
you're going to be interested to see what this is. So that's why we're going to title this one the 5 secret tips that David Wood shares for his YouTube insight. So, all right, well, this is awesome. As I think about this, what I hear over and over, one last thing I wanted to say first, though, is just interrupted myself, but the other thing I think about 3 is that it sounds like I can do it. So I think that's another thing too, that sometimes we get so smart with our information that it becomes like, oh man, I can't ever learn this, but 3 sounds attainable. So I think that's another secret, is like make it attainable and something I feel like I can actually accomplish. So in kind of closing this up then, what would you say are some things that, so we've talked about all these different strategies, from thumbnail to titles, descriptions to whatever. Do you mention like subscribe to my channel, click the like button? Do you say that type of thing?
I do, not as, my time is usually so short because I'm just trying to do so much that I often don't get around to it. When I have time, I certainly should. And if people are, I'm usually trying to make like a video a day, which is, people don't need to do that. People don't need to do that. I'm trying. I set that as a goal a while back to get to a video a day. So I do that, but it also means you don't get to do certain things that you would like to, as long because I have to get this posted and start working on the next video. But yes, ideally, people can subscribe to your channel by going to your channel or by looking for the subscribe button. People are far more likely to subscribe if something in the video says subscribe, and you can actually put a button on there now in the last 20 seconds of the video. It's an actual button that people click on, and it subscribes them. So people are much more likely if it's in the video, and they've done actual studies on this. So they're much more likely if it's actually in the video, and they're much more likely to do it if they hear it said, by the way, subscribe. And they're even more likely if they see you on there saying, hey, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, and here the button pops up. And after you do that, click on this video. You can put links to other videos in your channel, because YouTube's goal is to keep them on there, but your goal should be, if they're on YouTube, keep them on your stuff. If you think your information is important and valid, you want to keep them focused on your stuff, and so that's by subscribing and by clicking on other stuff. So yeah, you certainly want to take advantage of the tools you have. And once again, there are tons of YouTube channels out there, and there are channels that are doing well, but they don't do certain basic things. They haven't learned the algorithm. They're not max. I'm one of them, right? You could get an advantage over me by it's called optimizing your material. Like I have years worth of videos that I have to go back and fix. I have to fix the titles, fix the descriptions, fix the keywords, fix the thumbnails, because I didn't know this stuff back then when I was making these videos. And lots of them did well, but they could have done much better. And so you can have an advantage over those just by doing things right from the beginning. And so if you do things right, and you understand how the algorithm works, you understand the content that you need to put up there, and you're taking advantage of things like in video description, in video subscribe button and other videos. All of those give you an edge, because there's so much competition on YouTube that anything, and even like the suggested videos box. If you think about it, there's only a certain number of videos that pop up beside the video, right? And there's only a certain number of those. So it might be tweaking one little thing, or it might just be adding the script that YouTube uses to make the subtitles. It might be getting the keyword right. It could be any little thing that pushes your video from being off that list, from being the next video that's not on the list, to being on the list. And just going from there to there, it means people are going to find it and watch it. So you need to take advantage of everything you could possibly do. Give yourself every advantage you have, and if you do that, people are going to find your stuff, and then they're going to subscribe. And the good thing is, because as I mentioned in the other video, the hardest thing is getting started. By far the hardest thing is getting started, because you're there. Doesn't matter how great your content is, no one knows about it. No one knows about your stuff. And so once you've got that started, once you do have subscribers, then you've got other people who are passing on your stuff, who are saying, "Oh, this is a great video. Let me share it with my other friends, or share it with my friends on Twitter and stuff like that." And so it starts snowballing.
Dude, thanks for your time on this. I hope, I know it's helpful for me to listen to this, and I know it's going to be helpful to everyone else. So thanks everyone for watching. And I kind of thought of an analogy to end this up with for the video. If those of you that are watching are like David talked about, they're the ones really focused on You're the one really focused on making the video and making it all look awesome. So for you, this would be like putting all the effort into your video and then rendering it in really low resolution quality. That's kind of the same sort of thing where you've gotten the finished product, but you just kind of didn't take it across the finish line in a way. It would be like filming in 4K and then outputting it to VHS or something like that. And so go ahead and use that last bit to get it seen. We want you to get your content out and get it seen from others. So I hope this has been as useful to you as it has to me. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to our channel. Click that bell so that you'll be notified every time we have a new video coming out. And I wanted to make you aware that we have some incredibly awesome resources totally free for you, whether you are or are not an Echo customer. Just go to echoglobal.org/resources and you can look at all of them totally free. echoglobal.org/resources. Like seriously, like now is a great time to go echoglobal.org/resources.